I knew there was magic in the world and I wanted to go find it. All of a sudden, in the early 90s, I could do hands on healing and talk to dead people, which is when the universe handed me my draft notice and said, "Hello, you're working for us." I have no idea how I do it, Raymond. I don't. All I know is that I get my ego out of the way and I'm the tool that spirit uses.
Hello, this is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 bestselling author, bringing you Respark Your Life podcast, the world's premier podcast to ignite the fire to allow you to live life on your own terms. Every single Thursday, I bring you a multi-millionaire, world-famous celebrity to teach you about the most fascinating ways in order to live a far better life. Every single Thursday, you just need to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. I'll see you every Thursday to respark your life.
Yes, this is Raymond Aaron with yet another edition of Respark Your Life, where I bring you stealth wisdom. Wisdom you would never find out about on your own. And who is it this time? Corbie Mitleid. She has been doing readings since the early 1970s. Oh my gosh. She's traveled coast to coast and even up to Canada, as an intuitive counselor, an inspirational speaker and facilitator. She's got, if you could imagine this, what she's got, like these frame certificates all around her walls for every different thing there is related to readings. She prides herself on being a practical intuitive. Despite her elegant clothes and table trappings, most people say sitting with her is a comfortable, safe experience that feels like they're with a longtime friend. And that's what I'm counting on. Corbie, are you with us?
Absolutely. It's good to be here, Raymond.
Well, I'm excited about it. And you're not the typical person that I interview, but on the other hand, I like interviewing non-typical people. And so you, in some weird sense, you fit right in. And to my dear subscribers, you know me, I sometimes bring you my best friends because you know them: Dr. John Gray, Jack Canfield, all the usual suspects. But I love bringing you stealth wisdom. So stay with me, whether you believe in tarot cards or not. What the heck? Give me 20 minutes and let's see what you think afterwards. And she's got a gift for us at the end. So, Corbie, when you were a little girl and some giant called an adult came up to you and said, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" Did you say tarot card reader? Did you say, "I want to be the president of the United States," or "I want to be an astronaut"? What were you thinking back then?
Actress, absolutely. Was the theater kid in high school, went to Brown University as a theater major, acted in New York. The psychic work was always on the side until 9/11.
Oh, tell us.
All right. The quick 30-second how I got into doing it. When I was 9, I read a book called The Witch Family by Eleanor Estes. And instead of thinking, "Ooh, that's scary," or "ha, ha, ha," I thought, "Angel pointing." I knew there was magic in the world and I wanted to go find it. Fast forward to 1973 when I was a senior in high school, working part-time at Spencer Gifts. That was the year Live and Let Die came out, and Spencer had the James Bond 007 tarot deck, and I bought it because we were all hippies then. So I read for friends for 20 years, keeping my ego out of the way, being a clear channel. All of a sudden, in the early 90s, I could do hands-on healing and talk to dead people, which is when the universe handed me my draft notice and said, "Hello, you're working for us." But always part-time until 9/11. As I watched the towers burn, I turned to my husband and I said, "I'm going to need to do that work full-time. People need to know there are other answers out there." He said, "I believe in you. Go do it." Since then, 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, I read about 1,000 people a year, and I get to get up in the morning. I don't have to get up in the morning. That's the difference.
Wow. You have that many clients that you're busy for so long a period every single day? Wow.
Yes, because the readings, some of them are 5 minutes. I have one particular one that takes me 12 hours to put together. And I do free reading hours on social media where I can read 40 people in an hour. I do a spiritual expo. So that's where the 1,000 people a year comes in.
Now, I've had experience in speaking to each of my parents after they passed.
Mhm.
And it was, first of all, I didn't believe it. My sister turned me on to it and I said, it's baloney. If they're dead, they're dead. That's it. That's period.
Yeah.
End of the sentence. And then it was so startling to me. But also, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And yet it was absolutely true because each parent said something to me that only that person and me know about.
That's right.
No one else could have known it. And so it's true, but I don't know why it's true. And if you can hear the soul of dead people, then how come I can't?
We each have 10 fingers. Why can't I play piano like Elton John? Some people have talent. Some people are content to play chopsticks. Some people say, I really love this, and they practice and they learn to read. And 1 in 100 million is Elton John. I am not saying I'm Elton John level with dead people. But when I do this work, I'm in service. I take my work seriously, but me not so much. Okay. And I'm very fussy. I will not say, I see a woman in a flower dress handing you a rose. It's your grandmother. Oh, please, can I vomit now? That's terrible. It's vague. So I do what I call get the dog tags. For instance, my father, Jerome Richard Dorkin, who died in 2001 at the age of 80. Notice that tells me nothing, but it gets me into the energy right away. And then my guides, for some reason, play charades. They smoked. They had surgery. There was an accident. Now, I never know. When we get things that I couldn't know, then I open the door and my client gets to speak directly to them. But I remind people, we are not dial-a-dead. If Uncle David's on a field trip, he will not be by the phone. Now, there's a reason I won't do this in public, and that's because I don't censor. And I will tell the PG story. 20 years ago in upstate New York, I was reading for a woman. She was part of a biracial same-gender couple. The black partner had died, and her white widow wanted to speak to her. Now, your audience can't see me, but this is this cute little suburban face from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have manners. But what came out of my mouth in flawless urban ebonics is a couple of sentences that would never come out of this mouth, and I will not put it on the podcast with you. And I was aghast. But the woman in front of me broke out laughing and nodding because those particular sentences were what her partner Isabel walked into the house with after every business trip.
Wow.
That's not, it's a rose she loves you. I have no idea how I do it, Raymond. I don't. All I know is that I get my ego out of the way and I'm the tool that spirit uses.
Okay, so is it a gift or is it learning? Because you've got all kinds of certifications.
It's both. It's both. Even Ellen went to, the London Conservatory to learn to play. And we all have different talents. When you say to the universe, okay, I take my draft card, the universe looks inside to see what you're good at. Theater training. I understand character arcs, stories. I'm a writer. Words are my drug of choice, so I can tell the stories. And I have loved history since I was a wee thing. So I'm really good with past lives. On the other hand, I have a slight benign tremor in my right hand. Don't ask me to read a pendulum. I'm not sure I'm getting it real. And don't ask me to do spirit art because I cannot draw a stick figure with a sharp pencil and a lot of prayer. Not in my wheelhouse. So if it's something you dearly love and you want to work at it, I'm sure that spirit can get it going. We're all wired like the same house plan. We are. Nobody is wired differently. It's just that they've learned to run the engine. That's all.
Okay, so disguise the name of the person, of course, but tell us your best story, your best client story.
Okay. This one is about past lives. And a woman came to me and said, I don't know what to do about my son. He's 29. He won't live more than a mile from me. He won't make any important decisions without checking with me first. This is not normal. Can you help? And so, I opened up, went upstairs, and in about 20 seconds, I said, okay, I'm seeing 1944 Utah Beach, said this is D-Day. Your son is a soldier. He's down. He's got shrapnel in his leg. He's bleeding out. You're his commanding officer. You scramble over the dunes. You grab him. You pull him to safety. You both get shrapnel, but you both live. And I open my eyes and she's very pale. And she says quietly, "Can you see my rank?" I said, "Yeah, you were a sergeant." She goes, "He's called me Sarge since he was 3 years old and we've never known why."
Wow.
Second story. Woman was always interested in the Civil War, had no idea why. She lived nowhere near one of the sites. Her parents weren't into nothing. So again, closed my eyes. I said, okay. I'm seeing a small whitewashed room with a lower ceiling. There's a little old wizened black woman in the bed. She's dying. There are two very tall gentlemen. They are so tall their heads have to bend over. One's in military uniform, one is civilian. You are kneeling by the bed. The dress looks to be about 1861 or 62, which would be right because, you were in fashion at that point. Dark gray, black soutane around the sleeves, peplum, and hem. And all of you were grieving because this woman was so close to getting to the end of the Underground Railroad that you had all worked on, but she was dying and she couldn't make it. And I'm opening my eyes, and this woman is crying in front of me. She says, "I've had that dream for 20 years. Exactly.
Oh,
I've never known what it meant."
oh my gosh.
That's when a past life is important. Do not come to me and say, "I must have been Anne Boleyn because I can't wear turtlenecks," because I'll send you out the door.
You're funny.
I've done stand-up comedy about you think a psychic's life is easy. So yes, I will.
Well, let me tell you my story and you can comment on it.
Sure.
My father died and he was a taxi driver all his life. And the license number on the side of his door was 1207.
Mhm.
So all my life, when I was downtown, if a taxi went by of my dad's color, then I would look at the door to see if it was my dad, 1207. I got so addicted to it that even if it was another cab company of a totally different color, I would still look. And I got even more addicted when I was in another city. I would look for 1207. Anyways, my mother and father had the most dysfunctional relationship where she was an extreme bully and he was a victim. And so she laid out crap and he took it.
Mhm.
And he wasn't educated. And I really had trouble talking to him when he was alive. And even though I didn't believe it, I took my sister's word and I hired this lady, went to her suburban home. I thought it would be a woo-woo home, but it was just an ordinary house. And she told me the rules that if he comes, he doesn't have to come, but if he comes, he's going to share something with you that only you and he know.
Mhm.
And the day after he died, I was at the office getting nothing done. And I said, "Gee, I'm hungry." And I looked at my watch and it said 1207. And I said, "Hi, Dad." And then I went to eat. And then late at night, I said, "Gee, I'm getting tired." I looked at my watch and it said 1207. And I said, "Hi, Dad." There are only two 1207s in any day. And I was seeing one or two of them every day for a couple of weeks. It was really shocking. Anyways, I go to see this lady, Carolyn, and she says, "I think your dad just came in the room and he's saying clock, 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 clock." I'm saying, "Clock? What the heck's clock?" And then I remembered 1207.
Mhm.
Said, "Oh, I know what he means." And then dad said to me, "I hear you every time."
Mhm.
Every time I saw 1207 on my watch, and I said, "Hi, Dad. I hear you every time." Nobody could know that. And then I asked him a question. "Your wife, my mother, was such a bitch to you, but you always seem to be happy. Were you happy or were you just covering it up?" And he said something he could have never said while he was alive. He said, "The style of life I chose doesn't matter. It's whether I achieve my six intentions." I said, "Wow, Dad, did you?" He said, "I achieved four and I didn't achieve two." I said, "Dad, tell me which ones you got and which ones you didn't get." And he said, "That's for me to know." And he left. And I have been sold on past life and communicating with you're not communicating with the dead body. The dead body's dead. You're communicating with the soul of the dead body, and the soul
Yes.
can't die. And so, as much as I detested it and thought it was stupid and regretted even going there, and halfway there, I was on the verge of turning around and driving back because it was so silly. I went through with it, and it was a real life changer for me. But I have no idea how to do it as a full-time career. So you are a magician in my eyes.
Well, if you love it, you do it. It's like anything that's entrepreneurial. your business will change. When I first started doing this, I was traveling a great deal. I would record sessions on cassette tapes. Now, between my age of 70, the world has changed and we have social media. I do everything on Zoom, TikTok, Patreon, uh, Twitch, and you have to move with the world.
Right.
But as long as you do it for what it's meant for, helping people find their answers, giving them strength, showing them that they can change their own lives. It's not up to any gurus or any self-help master. I'm doing my job.
Right. Now, considering that's a job, I'm going to ask you a really tough and wildly inappropriate question.
Yes, I pay my taxes.
Have you had a failure? Have you?
Of course. Geez Louise. Are you talking about failures of clients or failures of business or what?
No, someone comes to you, says, I want to speak to my dad, and you just can't deliver.
Absolutely. And I tell them, I'm really sorry, but I'm just not connecting. I'm not your person. And if I can, I send them to another intuitive that I know and trust.
Oh,
For instance, I can do some health stuff, but I'm not the best. To me, my buddy Stacy Wells is the best medical intuitive in the US. I send you there. Yeah, I can talk to my own Maine Coon cats, but I'm not an animal communicator. I send you to Catherine Knock, who's in the UK, but a dear friend. That's part of being a professional intuitive. You never take money for what you can't do. And if you can't help your client, if you can, you send them to someone you know and trust that will.
wow. I thought it would be a tough question, but it was a really interesting question.
I've written a book called You've Got the Magic Who Needs a Genie that is everything I learned in 18 years on the road for this kind of a business. My nickname was the Travel Channel. So I did it specifically so people who are intuitives or in the holistic field had a business manual that wasn't left brain. This is how you open up your pharmacy.
Tell me the title of your book again. It was fascinating.
You've Got the Magic. Who Needs a Genie? That's one of
You have the magic. Who needs the genie?
That's
but
right.
I don't think I have the magic. I don't think I can speak to people who passed.
Then you won't.
Ooh.
It's like the old saying by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you can't, whatever you believe is right. But this is one of the reasons that the book we've mostly been talking about is called The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, How to Find the Real Wizards and Avoid the Flying Monkeys. It is not a book that tells you how to be a psychic. There are 60,000 books out there like that. This is a book on how to choose a psychic, what we can do, what we can't do, what questions are appropriate, when to get up and leave. Because there are no books out there to keep you safe. And I don't care if you never come to me after you buy that book. If it helps you in any session with an intuitive consultant that you go to, I did my job. And that is the gift that your listeners are going to get. It's the first 2 chapters of that book. I have it in a short ebook called Psychic Answers that I will be happy to send them.
Wow. Wow. So I'm so stunned by this that I'm out of questions. Really. And this is a very bad trait for a professional speaker, to be lost for words. It's a very bad habit. So
Raymond, I have done 400 podcasts in the last 10 years. You could ask me about mashed potato recipes and I'd have it like that. So please don't be hard on yourself.
Is there a question that you wished I would ask because you have a dazzling answer?
Not a thing. That's the other thing is I don't come in here with a set, I got to tell them this. I just open up, look at my guides and say, have no idea what's going to go on. Let's have fun. And it's always the right stuff. Always.
Are your parents proud of you, or are they still scratching their head about what you do?
My parents had a relationship very much like yours. My mother died in 84, and then my father remarried an absolute treasure of a woman. So my mother really didn't understand me at all. Dad and Shirley understood their daughter. And in fact, when an intuitive from Lilydale brought my father in about a year after Shirley died in 2009, they were a riot. First it was Shirley, because she had died really suddenly of a heart attack. And she said, but then there was your father. And he said, yes, but I was late to the office. He was a cardiologist. And she goes, but he was so handsome. He said, that's probably why you died. You couldn't stand my handsome. And this is just coming out of the medium's mouth. And that was Dad and Shirley.
Uh-huh.
So even for those of us who do it, when we get our dead people with that kind of love and humor, it's just a treasure. And it tells us, yes, what we do is real. We're
Wow.
not just reading somebody else's mind. It's what we do is real.
Okay, so instead of looking backwards in the genealogy, let's look forwards. Do you have children?
No, I knew when I was 13, I was born without the mommy gene. I'm a terrific aunt, but no, I knew that I would be re-raising myself, and children were not part of the mix.
Okay, but you're a great aunt.
Mhm.
So do your nephews and nieces understand what you do? Do they think you're crazy or they
My
love you or what?
I don't know about my niece, but my nephew does. When he was 13, he said to me, "Are we our souls, or are our souls bigger than us?" And I said, "Robert, darling, I am not allowed to discuss this with you as a minor. When you're 18, we'll talk." When he was 18, we did. He absolutely believes on what his aunt does, and I will very often sign letters, TPSA, the psychic sneaky aunt, because we always talk about this away from everyone else in the family.
Why can't you talk to him till he's of age?
Because his parents did not believe in or approve of what I did.
Oh, I see.
There are people in my family who think that to this day that I'm still just a carny act who steals people's money. Well, let it be well. You can't do what I've done full time for almost 25 years and be a fake. So,
Wow. So your career is like set. You've got clients over the world. You're happy and
mhm.
you know how to handle success. You know how to handle, let's call it failure. If you don't deliver, you refer. Are you just going to keep doing it or is there a next
Oh
date?
yeah, no. I tell people I'm going to be doing it until I'm 2 weeks dead. Then I'll flip my sign from psychic to spirit guide, keep the office.
You got to put in your resume that you're really funny.
Oh, it's on my website on the little intro video. Yeah, trust me. And the thing is, because I make people laugh, their shielding goes down. It's easier to get the information in. I don't come across like a lot of psychics do. My aura don't stink. Just listen to me and shut up. When someone sits down with me, I look at them and say, what is the most important thing you want to walk out of here knowing? If they go blank on me, I go Brooklyn on them. And I go, darling, what's biting your butt? Boom. They will know what they came to see you about. And we'll start talking.
And I need to tell you something very coincidental.
Boy.
It's actually 12:07.
Hi,
Right?
Dad.
Hi, Dad. Thanks for saying that. Hi, Dad. And so if my dad is saying anything, he's saying, end the show. You nailed it, son. So you said you had something really nice for us at the
Yes.
end. What do you have for us?
This is an ebook that has the first two chapters of the Psychic Yellow Brick Road. The first one is Psychics 101, How to Find a Great Psychic. And then Psychics 102, How to Prep for a Great Psychic Experience.
Oh,
And I will be happy to immediately email that out to anyone who says, I saw you or I heard you on Raymond Show.
but how do they connect with you?
Corbie at CorbieMitleid.com.
Corbie at CorbieMitleid.com. And Mitleid is spelled a bit unusually, MIT.
ILEID. It's a chosen name. It's not my legal name. Corbie is Gaelic for raven, because those are my favorite birds. And Mitleid is the German word for compassion, to always remind me why I do the work I do.
Wow. Corbie at CorbieMitleid.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes directly to you.
Yep.
You will chat with them and then send them whatever ebook they want.
No, it's a matter of just write to me and say, I heard you. I'd like the free gift, and out it goes.
I heard you on Raymond Aaron's podcast.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, thank you, dear Corbie. I loved our interview way more than I expected. You did a great job.
Be well and be safe.
Wow, I sure hope you enjoyed that fascinating episode. Please make sure you've subscribed, and please tell your friends if you like it that they will probably like it as well. For your information, this experience, this service, this podcast has been sponsored by the Orbit Coaching Program.
All of my friends, all my world-famous speaker friends, all have coaching programs. Mine has been independently rated as the #1 high-level coaching program. You cannot purchase it. You have to audition for it by me personally. If you're interested, please email me at respark@aaron.com. Respark@AARON. Say that you're interested in being considered for the Orbit coaching program and include your cell phone number so that I personally will call you back.